Hello and welcome to our Findhorn Barrow, episode number 15. Today, Alex is away in Japan on his honeymoon, so I'm joined today with my friend Maria Craig, who's a local documentary maker. Hi Maria.
Hi there, Callum. I'm really happy to step in for Alex tonight in this lovely interview.
And we're joined by Sara Evans and Damien Papin, and they're both musicians of the band Keryda. And they're performing a show tomorrow, Nettle and I, with Laura Passetti. Can you tell us what's special about the music that you perform?
Thank you very much for this invitation. So the music we're going to hear, music that's coming from the electric activity of plants, and here in this play from nettles. So the music of plants is it's actually a device that was made about 20 years ago by an engineer in Damanur community, eco-village, and it picks up on electric activity on the surface of a leaf and in the roots. And so the device will calculate like the difference of potential between these two points, these two informations, and will transcode it into notes. And these notes are then we choose the kind of sound we're going to hear. So we could like have a sound of a guitar or a piano or a percussion or something. And for the nettle, we've chosen flute, like different flutes. And so what's really interesting when you listen to the music of plants is to notice the rhythm and the way the melody is constructed, because there's kind of a different melody to each plant. It's like they've got their own signature in a way. So so it's a fascinating field.
I mean, before you'd come to the Findhorn 60th anniversary last year, I hadn't seen anything like that in my entire life. And I was completely mind blown by it. And I do remember one particular moment. You were performing at the site of the former community centre, and you attached your sensors to a tree there. And then the tree started making music. And then you were performing with the tree. And then everyone started singing and dancing with the tree. And I've always, throughout my whole life, felt trees to be very alive. And so do people in my family as well. And we've had quite a lot of powerful experiences with trees. But to see so many people at once have like such a tangible experience with a tree, it was just a moment of really great emotion. It's a really amazing thing that you're both doing.
Yeah, I mean, it is really special because all of a sudden we think plants are silent, but all of a sudden we're hearing something coming from the plant. I really believe that we can connect to nature and trees without this device as well. But the fact that we're hearing something, it touches our senses. So it's really powerful for sure. And also to hear how the plant interacts live, like directly in synchrone, like synchronicity with their environment. That's so moving. So yeah. I think it's...
And have you noticed like huge differences in the signature from the plant in very different environments? For instance, if you were in a smoky or dark or stuffy environment as opposed to a nice sunny bright environment, do the plants respond differently?
Plants, yeah, they respond. Well, what we're hearing is a kind of mirror image of what's going on for the plant. So its environment, basically. If the plant is happy in its environment, we'll hear music already. Because if it's not happy, it cannot make any music at all. I mean, it can just not... The electricity won't go through to the device, if the plant is feeling a little bit poorly, it's like it's got a bug or something that's not it's not in health, it's not healthy. Well, it also influences the music. Like it also makes the electricity, the vitality of the plant go down. So obviously we hear that in the music. So environments do completely change the music. And if like a plant that really likes sunshine, as there's in the sunshine, we'll hear lots of sound. But if it's a plant that doesn't like being in bright sunshine, it will probably not make any sound at all.
And is that the same thing for the way it responds to humans? If you were in a really good mood or a bright mood, does the plant respond positively to that? So does it pick up your moods?
Yeah, it does definitely pick up on everything that's going on in the environment. So our moods, when we play, it's a thing of being really relaxed and centered, and you sort of go into an area, I don't know how to put the words on it, but it's a special feeling anyway to really connect, And if someone comes in, we're playing music of plants, and all of a sudden someone comes in, there's a new person, there's a new vibe, a new mood. The plant stops.
20 seconds. For 20 seconds, and she starts again.
So it's really interesting to see how they're really alert of what's going on, and if there's a really really heavy mood, something's just happened in the room, I don't know, something not very, or outside, I mean it can be outside, like a danger, if there's something really a big danger for the plant or for something around, this will also influence the music. The plant can stop, or it can start doing very staccato kind of sounds. The more we listen to the plant music, the more we realize it's like a language, and we're learning to decoder, like to decode the language, So
if a plant need water, we can hear it. Yeah. And if a plant need to change a pot, also, it's a kind of a way to. If we listen to every day, and we learn everything. We learn a lot about it.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
I have a question for you, Damien. So you were talking. So before we started recording this podcast, you were talking in the kitchen about some of your ancestors. So you talked about how you had an ancestor who was really instrumental in bringing about the steam engine, and then another ancestor who was instrumental in bringing about, they were like speedboats. So I wonder if they have any inspiration for you, because both of you, what you're doing really seems to be on the forefront of something, like breaking new ground in something that not many people have done before, and definitely not before this time in history. So that sort of spirit of innovation with technology, is it something that you've taken some inspiration from your ancestors?
I think the inspiration really come from both with Sarah, and because we already playing together for a long time, and when we discover this relation, we can hear it with the plants. It's like so we're just learning how to, and we're still learning. So there's a lot of learn to do, and I think there's a lot of. It's like people did it like hundreds of years ago. They know how to speak to the plants. They know this is for me. This is not new. It's just
like a different way
it's just a leg. This device is just a leg. Plus one leg, comment dire, une jambe en plus, quoi. Comment dire?
I don't know how to say that expression.
yeah, just helping. No, it's not helping. It's just
helping.
Yeah.
develop the.
It's
Helping to connect.
yeah, it's helping to connect. So because we used to do it without the device before, so with the device, it's like everything on the table. Yes.
Yeah, and it's always a learning process, like you said, because obviously it's breaking grounds. I'd say the actual device is breaking grounds when they built it 20 years ago, those engineers. But then I suppose the plant, it was interesting because the plant wasn't responding so much to this device. There was only very few sounds right at the beginning. And the more the plants were plugged in and listened, or had that music in the environment, the more the plants were making sounds. And now we have really amazing melodies. It's the same device, so that's incredible, the evolution that plants have done in those 20 years.
Responding differently now to the same
Exactly.
thing.
And then we also no, vas-y.
Yeah, because we work with a team in France, and so we learn a lot with them. And it's like a guy, a man called Jean Touby from south of France. He teach a lot how to. We started to build something, and so because we can't be together all the time, we like to build together with Sarah now.
Build, you mean
Build this
relation,
relation with the plant. It's really about this relation. It's the same when I think maybe here in Findhorn, when you put a seed in the earth to have some
in the earth, yeah.
in the earth to have some salad, to veg, and if you do it in a good way,
in a good vibration,
you will have a lot. Everything will grow. And if you not a good day, but you do it because you have to do it, I think maybe half of it you grow it.
Doesn't grow and half grows. Exactly. And I was going to say the thing that hasn't been done too much is to interact live with the music of plants, because we've been listening to music of plants over these years, but like interacting with musical instruments, that's something quite new. And to see how they respond, it's really, that's something really new. And it's like they're teaching us through these melodies so many things about their environment, how they perceive their environment, what's going on around. It's amazing.
So I remember you telling me about this annual conference that happens in France once a year, where many people come together, scientists and people who are interested in the music of plants. Could you say a bit more about that? Because I found that very interesting.
Yeah, so like Damien was talking about Jean Touby, he's a plant nursery specialist in camellias. And so he's been working with the device for a while, and he just thought, incredible, how come my plants are doing so many more flowers and are looking so healthy since I've listening to the music of plants in the place where the plants grow, And so he thought, I'd better get some friends, some good scientists that know a lot about plants and how it all kind of works, and see if we could study this, a bit more deeply. And with the incredible discoveries they did, they thought, okay, we've got to do conferences and talk about this, because their first festival, international festival of the music of plants, was in 2017. And they've been inviting different scientists that are working on the significance, the plant life, the intricate communication between plants, all these things, and how the music influences plants as well. So it's been, evolving festival. Like, it started small, but now it's getting bigger and bigger, and more people are participating. and people from outside of France as well. His scientific team is not only French people; it's also Italian, people from Belgium, Switzerland. It's a very balanced team. It's really it's interesting.
So what would be the purpose of all these scientists coming together to study the music of plants? Do they have a kind of aim for that?
So do they have an aim there? It went from a curiosity to understand better how come plants responding this way through the music of plants, and I think it's also so that a larger amount of people, to touch people in a different way than just talking about it. If there's scientific proof, a lot of people in France approve it. If there's no scientific proof, they just don't believe it, They'd say, well, this is a recording. This is not possible. So they really wanted to make it very accessible for anybody, And so the protocols, I mean, they've really done very scientific work, because protocols are very long and very precise. And they've done all that work to prove some amazing things around this music of plants.
In your own life, did you both already have close relationships with plants before you came across this technology? So were you already interacting with the plants on a deeper level than other people before the technology, or did the technology bring you a lot closer to the plants?
Yeah, before we used... Yeah, we have a show or performance called A Fleur de Note. It's like a fleur de peau, what do you say? No, I don't know. It's like we say in French a fleur de peau. It's like and we called it a fleur de note, like a flower of notes. Flower of note. Yeah, and so it's big macro pictures, and we took photos like this, and we wanted to have the inspiration of the sacred geometry of the plant when we play. So we're looking at this photo movie, and we play with all this photo, and we do a concert gig like this. And it was really amazing. The result, the feeling, and
the inspiration was very. It was like between improvisation and worked music, but because the colors and the flowers were inspiring us while we were playing, there was nothing that was written. It was really like a spontaneous performance, a bit what we're doing now with the plants. So we were already really inspired by nature, inspired by the colors, the atmosphere. We would often go into nature to play, like even if we have big instruments, the harp and the double bass, but we love going into special places where there's that energy, or you feel you're not on your own in the middle of the nature.
So it was like you're already collaborating with them even before you heard their music through your ears. You heard their music in a different way before.
For sure. For sure, yeah. Really very deeply connected to... It's not only plants, it's like nature, everything, the water, the soil, these spaces. Yeah, it's always been inspiring.
And did you have influences in your childhood that drew you to this kind of work?
Music of plants?
No, just influences in your childhood. What influenced you when you were young?
Well, for myself, I grew up in the countryside, so I'm very, very close already to the nature. And then I used to listen. My parents listened a lot to traditional Irish music and Scottish music, and so I was really bathed in also the folklore around everything. There isn't only the reality that they tell you there is, you know, there's something else that exists. And through traditional music as well, I've been very, very influenced by traditional music, for sure.
I really like to play like with just one flower, you can make like maybe 50 albums. Because there's so much to do, so much to. It's really inspiring. Yes.
And I believe your mum also plays the harp?
Yeah, Alison, my mum, she is actually, she's a very good musician playing flute, like Irish music, but then she was drawn to the harp. She's a music instrument maker, she's a luthier. And someone asked her to make a harp one day, and she was like, yeah, why not? Let's have a try. And then she just got completely passionate about it. And she started to learn to play she played the harp. And over the years, I was seeing harps at home. I was like, yeah, beautiful instrument. I was drawn to play it. And then I thought, well, I should make my own harp as well. And so she taught me to make my first harp. And now I'm working in the workshop with her and also on my own, making harps, because I find it so wonderful to go from a living tree to these, it's like it has a second life after being a tree. It will become an instrument, and I follow that process. And it's so beautiful until the first note resonates, you know. And so it's a lovely process to make harps. So yeah.
And what's your highest dream in sharing your work with plants, music of the plants, with others, people around the world or around Europe?
I think it's to bring this more attention to nature and to just open up to the possibility of really interacting with nature in any way, even if without this device. It's just opening up to all life, basically, you know, life with a big L. And because everything's to do with relations, you know, and plants want to relate with us, but we've kind of forgotten that is actually possible, and we don't need these devices. They're just helping us a little bit to remind us that we remember it's possible. And so it's I think it's really that, is to receive the wisdom from nature and to be more attentive, more caring.
J'ai perdu.
And what about this lovely play that you're involved in with Laura? Can you say a bit more about that, how you became involved and what your part is in the play, and are you enjoying it, and what's the aims for this play?
Yeah, it's a really special moment. We are living right now in Findhorn. When I met Laura last year, she told me about her relationship with a nettle. She kind of just felt that the nettle was telling her things, and the things she shared with me were exactly the things that I have learnt by playing music of plants. And we were really surprised to see that they were saying the same things in a way. She had her way of communicating with the nettle, and we had our way of understanding the language of the music of plants. And we're like coming to the same conclusions, and they're saying the same things, same messages, you know? So that was amazing. And so we just thought, maybe we could do something together, and she wrote this play completely inspired by what nettle was telling her, and so it seemed just to fit perfectly to do the music of plants, the music of a nettle interacting with musicians live and the play at the same time. So it's one human actor interacting with the nettle, and we are kind of part of the nettle by interacting with the nettle musically. And this week has been incredible because the nettle's been so reactive. Like, it's reacted to every word that was said. It surprised us so many times. and confirming as well things that the play would say, you know. And the whole process of creating, it's been very, very beautiful. It's like we're not just us three humans. There's really a third being there. We are four on stage. It's very special.
How does the music and messages of nettles compare to the music and messages of other plants?
Well, it's very specific. That's like I said, that's a difficult question because it's very broad, you know. Like I was saying at the beginning, it depends so much on the environment. So if there's I couldn't say the ivy always has the same message or the nettle has one message. It's really to do with what's going on right now in their environment. So it's like a mirror image of us, all of us, them, how they are going, how are the plants going, and what's going on around them, which is the humans that are moving around. And that's really special. It sort of brings us to you know how the mirror effect makes you look at yourself in a way. So it's a thing of the plants are also making you be more conscious about your inner self, where your position, where you're at, and how you're relating to the outside. So it's like un enseignant, a teacher. It's really like a teacher.
And it must bring you very present into the present moment. Yeah,
it's all to do with the present moment. Can't think in advance or plan. What should we do? Should we do? No. It doesn't work. You can hear the plant just doesn't click. You know, doesn't click on. If you're not in those projections and you're just in the pure present moment of presence, truly, it flows incredibly beautifully.
Right.
And the aim of the play is definitely to have more consciousness for plants and to open up our minds on the plant world, how they can interact with humans. And we also want it to be a play for children, because children sort of grasp that straight away, you know. We start talking to children about music of plants, they're very excited and curious and they want to try lots of things and they chat to plants. It's very different for adults, you know, but it's great to have, I think for both, for adults and children, it's, we've made it very open in that way.
Talking about children, I think I told you this, when I was young, very young, maybe about 5-6 years of age, there was a program on BBC television called Talk with Mother or something like that, and one of these programs was about 2 plant pots, and they were called Bill and Ben.
Oh,
the flower pot men, and they each had a plant in them, and then the one in the middle was called Weed. She was a weed. I remembered this. She was a weed, and Bill and Ben would talk to each other, bop bop, weed, bop bop, and you know. So when I was young, it didn't occur to me for a minute that plants couldn't talk to each other. So I grew up believing that plants communicated with each other because that program was so real for me. You know that and there's many people of my age who'll remember Bill and Ben, the flower pot men. Do you remember that, Callum?
Yeah, I used to watch that. There was an updated version of it as well. So I had some Bill and Ben toys as well. And I just set a blank there.
Plants, just to say plants, that's really interesting because, you know, it's something that's very natural for kids to just look at that and say, yeah, of course, why wouldn't they pluck? But actually, like today, in the breaking new fields of science, they're realizing that plants are communicating hugely by loads of different ways. I mean, we know about the mycelium now on the roots, but also with volatile molecules through the air, and they're also connected to electric fields. So it's like all these years later we're realizing that it's actually really what's going on, and every day we're discovering more about plants. It's a breaking
Can you say what the mycelium is in the roots? I don't know about that.
It's like the mushroom network that connect all trees together in a forest, for example. They call it also the wood wide web. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's like everything's communicated. If you have a tree one side of the woods, it can be miles and miles away. The tree, the other side of the woods, will have the same information that the first one will be giving. So what kind of information, just to give you an idea, is like they realized this through the scientists. I mean, the first ones in France that started talking about this was these people that were studying animals in Africa, and they're like big giraffes called kudu, and they would eat the leaves of acacias. And if the acacia is feeling that the kudu is eating them too much, that they're in danger in a way, they send out a message, and they start producing tannins.
Oh, it's like
in the
is
leaves.
It chemicals? Or?
Yeah, it's molecule chemicals.
Yeah.
But it's chemicals. Tannin is a natural chemical that plants have. You know, it's like astringent. I don't know how. Tannin.
Oh, tannin.
Yeah. And so tannin is really bad for kudus. So they feel it. If they eat too much of it, they sort of, they die, or they feel that they can't eat anymore. So they go much further. And what they realize is that over like 10 kilometers, that area, all the trees are producing tannin. So how did the message get through, It's like it's not just one tree that's feeling attacked and it starts producing these molecules. It's all the trees that are starting to produce, and that's been showed also in cucurbitacées.
Ouais, in the little insects, the coccinelle.
Yeah, coccinelle, ladybirds.
The ladybird, when she eats a little bit of leaves, and so the plant give an information, so that the ladybird stop eating, and this information is like around 3 meters from the leaves.
Yeah.
So the ladybird go just 3 meters away and start again.
So it's kind of symbiotic, like you can eat a bit but not too much.
Absolutely, it's a balance basically, and the ladybird knows that he has to just go like 4 meters away, he'll be fine. It's so
And the thing is, it's like wisdom traditions for like thousands of years have been talking about the sentience of plants and how we can communicate with plants, and like we're saying with children or with other people, a lot of people detect this in their own lives, but it seems to have like fallen away from certain societies, like maybe a lot of European societies in recent times. We've forgotten a lot of this stuff. But it's really promising that there's like a reawakening of this, partly helped by science. But the thing is, it's crazy that we're discovering these things, like with the mycelial networks, just in recent years. But as humans, we've been surrounded by trees, with plants, we've lived alongside them for thousands of years. But something that's right next to us for so long, we don't know these things about them, how they're operating for so long. So it's like, we talked about how in the 60s there was so much to discover in outer space. That was a whole universe opening. But there's a whole universe on our doorstep that's still opening day by day, year by year.
Absolutely. But we live in the world, in today's world, like years ago, like Damien said, people did know these things, and there were these connections that were made. But today we live, more and more science came. Like science was a big thing. The optics arrived. And when people started realizing that you could see infinite small to infinite big, well, then it became like the major thing. Like if you can't see it, well, it doesn't exist. And that changed so much the whole world we're living in, and so now, science is finally going into looking really smaller things. There's a lot of scientists that are studying also like the frequencies that we thought the plants didn't emit frequencies. They actually do, and that's a whole other field. We're not in the field of, we don't listen to the music coming from the plant, but from an electric activity that's translated into music. So
because
that's another. But it's
because now there's a special microphone, and you put inside in a pot, and you can hear the electric activity of the plants, like some frequencies. It's so it's not the same we do. It's a
clicking sound, and you can hear it. The roots do clicking sounds, and it's like frequencies that we don't hear. Obviously,
it's a really special microphone.
But this is like with the whole scientific world that's sort of dominating. This era. But I really believe we have all this wisdom inside. It's just that it's been covered up, and it's and even today every one of us can connect to it. It's just a thing of opening up another possibility, another reality, or it is the same reality, but you see what I mean? It's just like opening up another vision on things.
And with the play that you're doing on Wednesday, is that a one-off performance, or is it going to be shown anywhere else?
It's a preview, so because we've only just created, it's our first week of creation, so it's a preview, like we call it sortie de résidence in French. It's to be able to promote this play and play elsewhere. We would love this play to tour in many different places, like in places where people, in small villages, and also in halls, in the nature, in many different places, so that the maximum people can see it.
Yeah, I think it would also be a wonderful educational tool for young children.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's also, of course, obvious.
Could set a lot of children onto that path of communicating more deeply with plants if they were inspired by it. For anyone listening at home who's never communicated with a plant, or maybe never even taken much time to have any deep experience with a plant, is there any sort of exercise you would recommend for them, or anything you would tell them that they might be able to do if they're curious about this but they don't really know where to start or what to do?
They can greet the plant. It's just like having another living being in the room. A plant isn't just a thing in the pot, it's really a living being. So as if you were talking to a human, what would you say to your plant? And then it's a personal feeling, like you feel maybe that, oh well, I feel like singing, I wonder why. Well, it doesn't matter, let's just sing. And that's maybe just the plant that's giving you a message, But it's like being confident, having confidence in just going with something that your intuition. I mean, it's easy to say like that, but it's basically creating a relation with all these living beings that are around us.
Yeah, I find that interesting, because I think there's certain songs that that you would be inspired to sing from different plants, and I was just thinking that if you were growing a marijuana plant, you might be inspired to sing some Bob Marley. Yeah.
We had a very interesting experience with a marijuana plant in the summer. What I've realized with these different plants, something that I've realized through this summer, we've been playing for a year and a half with a tobacco plant, and who knows why the tobacco plant is always doing things that the other plants don't do, and it's really surprising us, like it's doing complex things, and it's very interactive, like much more than others. And we think, okay, that's interesting. And then we realized this also with a sage, but not any sage. It's like a white sage that's very sacred to North Americans. You've heard of the white sage. It's a special plant. And I was thinking, there's some plants that maybe are very sacred to some people, you know, and it's as if they're bringing wisdom through the music with the. I mean, then they're sacred for some people because they've really taught them stuff, you know. So I felt that when we played with the cannabis plant as well, I was like, it was very surprising. It was really very different. So I was thinking about all these different plants.
We did play with this marijuana plant because it was in a pot in front of venue. Of the venue.
Of the venue, yeah.
It's like, okay, we try.
Okay, we try, yeah, exactly. And the interesting thing we've been discovering with Jean Toby and the scientific team is that he thinks that the music of plants is more sophisticated compared to the evolution of that plant on Earth. Because if you imagine ferns, for example, that have been here for 450 million, and even before, you know, he noticed that ferns like have a way of doing the melody and expressing and more broader sound from very high to very low pitch than, for example, grass that's much more recent, like that's 90 million 90 millions d'années, years back. So we're noticing differences between their evolution on Earth. And that seems kind of logical because if ferns are still here today, I mean, can you imagine everything they've gone through, you know? They've gone through all these different chaoses. They've gone through so many different weather changes. And in their DNA, in a way, it's all that adaptation and growing that they've grown all these years have made them more sophisticated in a way. Do you see what I mean? It's difficult to find the right words in English, but yeah. So that was something that I often think, depending on the evolution of the plant, in the world. It's an interesting way of seeing the music of plants.
And also the nettle have the same electric activity than the blackberry and the hemp, because they are growing everywhere and quick. Like if you go in Bulgaria, there's hemp everywhere on the road. Here in France, there's a blackberry everywhere, and nettle also. It's like, and so you can hear this big electric activity
in their first signature. When you plug in the plant first, you hear those signatures, and each plant has a really different signature, and those ones really come out like high electric activity.
Because we normally used to spray with of water to
help the conductivity, electric conductivity. So we often have a bit of spray of water for all the other plants.
But the nettle, no, because she's so powerful.
Doesn't need any water. It's impressive.
Yeah. I've heard from Laura that each nettle is connected to every other nettle, and to talk to one nettle that's different from maybe a nettle that she talked to last year, a nettle plant last year, it's still continuing the same relationship and still talking to the same nettle in a way. So is that to suggest that each of these plants is connected in a vast network together? How do you think that works?
Yeah, definitely connected. Like a nettle, I'm trying to find my right words. Plants don't live like humans, as we sort of define ourselves as individuals, part of a big community. But plants are a community. They don't have individuals inside. That's what we've sort of learnt in a way from plants and through the music of plants.
A unity.
They're a unity. They're just one. So in a way, when we're playing with one lavender, we played for years with the same pot, lavender pot. And then we changed the pot, and it was another lavender, and it was responding the same way to what the first lavender was responding, you know?
That happened to other musicians also. who play. In Japan, there was a girl. She playing. She worked on 1 year with the Tricertis, and she's a famous pianist, and she have to come to play in Paris
For the Festival of Music of Plants.
But she couldn't bring the Tricertis in the plane, so she asked Jean to be. Can you bring the Tricertis? I would try to do the music I compose with my Tricertis, and they did together the Tricertis and her the same music she did for 1 year
In Japan.
Yeah.
And they're two different plants, but they're so it means that for plants there's no space or time in a way. It's like difficult for us to imagine that, but plants are really connected all over the world.
I wonder if maybe humans are on some level as well, but that individuality gets in the way of that, because I've seen a lot of examples of if there's one invention or discovery in one part of the world, then it appears in other parts of the world at the same time, and sometimes that's with science or maths, but other times it can be with art. There's a famous example that really blew my mind. So, do you know Dennis the Menace? So, like a cartoon character, but there's a British and an American Dennis the Menace. And as far as anyone can prove, and as far as records can tell, and as far as everyone involved who were behind these comics are concerned, these are two very different Dennises, but they're still like young boys with stripy shirts, and there's comics of them. But they both had their first publication within the same week in the 1950s. One in America, one in Britain, and they both became pretty famous, but people think they're related in some ways, but they're actually completely independent of each other.
So we're all part of the same matrix.
I think so. In some way, it's also kind of like you think of someone and then like a few seconds later you get a phone call from them. I think there's some kind of connection there that maybe we share in the same way that plant networks do.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering this is your second time to Findhorn. I was just wondering what your impression was and what you think of Findhorn.
I feel I'm in a very special place. It's lovely to meet the different people that are living here, and also the space, the nature around. Like we were walking along the beach and in the dunes, and each little plant, when I look at each little plant, I feel really there's something saying hi, connecting, but also because I feel very welcomed. It's like everything was so fluid, flowing for us to come here. It's like I feel that around me all the time.
I'm really feeling at home. Yes.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Yeah.
I was just gonna bounce on to what you were saying about the connection around the world. Just to come back to the interesting discovery that the music of plants, right at the beginning, there was very little sound, and then it built up. There were more and more sounds over the years. Well, that happened. They realized that it happened in different places in the world. And today, the music of plant device, there's one, we're using the one from Damien, you're from Italy, made by a company called Solera. But there's a device that exists in America. There's some people in the south of Spain that are also working on these devices. And actually, I realized that there's been others as well, and also that the plants have been kind of learning in a way, or accepting to work through those devices, because at the beginning there was very little sounds, and now there's loads, and there's nothing that changed in the device.
It's like the plant say, okay, you want to speak this way, okay, we use the device also.
Why not? Okay.
And how do you think the what you're involved in, making music with plants in this way, how do you feel that it connects to the bigger picture of what's going on in planet Earth just now, where we are as a planet just now?
how it connects. You, vas-y.
I didn't understand, but a little bit. We want. I think with this music of plant, we want to also to play in the native forest, and with a lot of native plants, and in the nature, and to really want to discover everything, to train, and to do some nice music and some good fun.
Yeah, and it highlights like how incredible nature is, and all the nature that is here. You know, it puts the accent on it, or I don't know how to say it, but just more attention on these beautiful forests that are here on Earth, preserving these places, preserving and being careful to nature. That's basically what I think it's connected to.
And another question, did you both meet through music? How long have you been performing music together? Did you know each other before playing music together?
Yeah, we knew each other before. We've known each other since we were children, adolescents, children, and then our instruments met before we actually started playing music together, which is quite funny. Damien used to play a little bass, and but before buying that bass, it was in
this little bass.
Yeah.
This little bass was in. C'est quoi tu dis-le? Les.
Harpo bass?
Non, les
the exhibitions. So there were exhibitions for musical instrument makers.
Yeah, and the harp and this harpo bass was playing together from other people.
Yeah, so they were like in the exhibition. My mom was exhibiting her harps, and this luthier that made the little bass, Philippe Bern, was also they were friends, you know, with my mom. And so other people would play a bit of harp, a bit of bass, and then years later we started playing with those two instruments, and we realized that they had already met these two instruments. Anyway, it's good. It was nice. Yeah.
And after we met André Laban, and it's a famous guy in France, and I wanted to say thank you to André, because he gave us for a present the double bass I have now today.
Yeah, so we started playing harp and double bass, and that was a whole new world. It was special.
And before we go, is there anything else you'd like to say to the audience, any three of you?
I would just like to say it's just a delight to have you here, and it's wonderful to hear your music, and such an amazing experience to have this opportunity to see you communicating with the plants in this way. Is in Callum's words, it's quite mind-blowing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for this moment we've shared together. It's always so interesting, and to realize that we're on the same, you know, we're on the same wave. Yeah, waves.
Thank you for the welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and everyone listening, please look out for the show Netto and I, directed by Laura Passetti, featuring Keryda and Alessandro Guetta, and the Netto, of course. And do you have a website?
We have a Instagram and Facebook with Damien, Keryda, Keryda. And you can discover videos on the YouTube and everything. And we're always so happy we'd love to share this more and more. So do talk around about it and about this, these wonderful discoveries and communications, relations.
Thank you, everyone. This has been our Findhorn Barrow, episode number 15.
Thank you.